Good morning. This is Jennifer Bowers, and I just wanted to make a morning message while I was driving into work because I felt like talking. So pretty much, I lived like all sorts of places overseas from ages birth until, conception, I guess, until 20. And then when I was 20, that's when I really came back to the United States. And then I've been here ever since. And I'm 45, so I've actually been in the United States for a significant amount of time. But I lived in Japan for about 11 years. And I lived in several different places in Japan. I did the tour from south to north. I went from Okinawa to Yokota to Misawa, and then I was actually born at Yokosuka. I was living outside of Sama. So I did a pretty nice tour of Japan there. And then I also visited South Korea at several different locations, and I lived in Busan, South Korea. And then I lived in Korea only for 2 years. And then we visited a lot because my sister was adopted from Korea, and my mom wanted her to have that exposure to her home country, which I think was really good. And then so then I also spent 4 years in the Philippines, and there I lived on base the whole time though. So I didn't really get this super immersive, but we did a lot of cultural exchanges and stuff like that. And that is something that surprises me about American schools, is there's no culture class. And, we always had culture class or culture club in DOD schools. And, they wanted us to learn about the country that we were living in because it was such a good experience. But, it does change you learning about a different culture and being immersed in it. It changes your worldview, and then you realize, people who've only lived in one place, whether they're from any country, not even just Americans, their brain gets very stuck in those patterns the same every day. Whereas when you have so much novelty and change in early childhood, it does kind of make your brain work a little different than other people's. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I think personally. So anyway, I also lived in Italy, in Sicily for 2 years. I lived outside of NAS, Sigonella, NAS 1. I lived far away from NAS 2. And then I was of college age there, so I attended University of Maryland. And then after I moved back from there, I moved to Bloomington Normal at Illinois State University. And Bloomington Normal, I stayed there for a while, and then I moved all over the Midwest trying to kind of figure out what I was going to be up to for my life. And then I finally came back to Springfield, which is where my grandparents and other relatives lived when I was a child. So I kind of have always seen this as my hometown. And when I was younger, I was actually told by my parents, because other kids will be like, where are you from, and you're like, and then you're like, Mom and Dad, what do I say when people ask me where I'm from? And and I'll be like, I can't even remember which base we're going to, and sometimes I forget which base we came from. When people will be like, where are you from, what grade are you in, and I'm like, So anyway, I was a lot like Teen as a child. It's true. From Bob's Burgers. Good show. And then I visited Greece, and I visited Jamaica, and I visited some parts of France, but France is large, and I only visited 2 different parts of France, so Nice and Paris, and then I visited Dublin for a week, and then that's about it. Yesterday I went to Indiana, and that was extremely exciting for me to leave the state, which is weird.